Hello, and welcome to another episode of Retouching Secrets of the Pros with Dennis Dunbar. Today, we're going to talk about color correction. Now, over the years, I've taught many classes on color correction, and it's one of the topics I really love to talk about. If you followed me before, you know that my usual color correction method is to use two curve adjustment layers, one set for luminosity and one set for color blending. And I do a lot of work with that. It's a very powerful technique. Today, we're going to talk about a different thing, using Adobe Camera RAW and the power of that, how fast we can get this done. Here's a photo I took quite some time ago, back in the 90s, and this was taken up near Lake Tahoe, and as you can see, it was shot on film, and the color balance is really off on this. Not only is it dark, but the color balance is really blue. Her skin tone is really kind of off, so it really needs a lot of help. It's been a classic image that I use in my color correction classes. It's something that's really difficult to do. Every time I take a whack at color correcting it, I always want to come back and what was I thinking? Let's fix this a little more. So here is what I usually come up with in this, with the luminosity curve, a curve for the color blending, a little bit to open her eyes, a little bit to adjust her skin tone, to open up her skin tone, and then another one to adjust the shadows. I think something like this took me about half hour, maybe an hour to set up and work. And every time I come back to it, I think I need to readjust this and take a look at it. So it makes a great challenge image. But today, we're going to take a look at the power of Adobe Camera RAW. Now, the background has already been made a smart object, which means when I use the Adobe Camera RAW filter on a smart object, it will be non-destructive. I can always reopen that filter and come back and readjust things non-destructively. Nothing is permanent until I save this out as a flattened file. So we're going to make sure we click on the background layer. We're going to come up here to the filter menu, and we're going to bring up Camera RAW filter. And you can see here we have the Camera RAW filter open. We have adjustments for light and for color. First thing we're going to do is tackle the light on this a little bit, because first thing is obvious, it's really looking kind of dark for this. I'm going to open up the shadows a bit so we see a little bit more into her. Maybe boost the exposure some. I want to bring some punch into the hair, some contrast into the hair, so I'm going to bring down the blacks. I like the highlights around here, so I'm going to bring these down so we get a little bit more information in there. And we're going to say this is looking really kind of close to where we'd want to be. Something like this. We can always come back and tweak this the more we want. But the real power here is come over here into color. Color here is where we set the color temperature for this. We have a blue-yellow slider and we have a green-magenta slider. Temperature is blue-yellow, tint is green-magenta. Then we have vibrance and saturation that we can do. But the real power today here is this eyedropper. If I click on this eyedropper, it will sample the white point. I'm going to tell the white point is this part of her sweater right here. So I'm going to click on that, and instantly the color is much, much better. The first thing that strikes me when I look at this is her skin tone, maybe on her face, maybe it looks a little too pink, maybe a little sunburn there. So we're going to want to adjust that. We'll want maybe to adjust a little bit around her eyes. They're still a little bit dark. And maybe we'll do something about the background. It's a little bit too bright for this. So what can we do in Adobe Camera RAW to adjust this? Well, fortunately, Adobe Camera RAW gives us these really powerful AI masking tools. If we click on the gear icon right here, it's going to bring up a new way to make a mask. We have subject, sky, background, but here we're going to look at people. If I click on person, it's going to analyze. It's already detected that there's a person here, and it's going to analyze the shot, and we go for facial skin because we're going to want to open that up and maybe take a little bit of magenta out of her skin tone here. So we click on this, we say create. We can turn the overlay on or off so we can see what our mask is doing. We can also double click on this to change the color of our mask in case we want to do that. And then when we start to change the color around here, we see that mask starts to go away. I'm going to turn off show overlay for this. So we're going to take a little bit of magenta out of her facial tone, maybe warm it up a little bit, just a hint. Maybe we're going to open up the shadows just a a little bit more. That really helps around the eyes. And very quickly, we've got something that we're thinking is really a pretty decent example for this. This is already looking pretty good. Now, I said we'd want to bring in some more light around your eyes, and then we're going to want to do something about the background. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Create Mask. And not only do we have all the automatic things here, but we have brush. So I can click on the brush tool. I can make the brush bigger or smaller by hitting the left bracket to make it smaller or the right bracket to make it larger. I'm going to brush around here and around there. And then I'm going to come over here to exposure and open this up just a little bit. Bring a little more light into her eyes. I think maybe if I bring the blacks down, we'll keep some definition in the eyes so they look really nice and sharp. Now, the last thing is we're going to want to adjust the background. I'm going to come back up here to Create New Mask. I'm going to click Select Background. It automatically selects the background for us, which is really great. I'm going to bring down the highlights here because I really love the detail in the clouds here. I'm going to maybe turn the saturation down on it just a little bit so it focuses more attention on her. But as you see really quickly here, we've gone and made some adjustments here, which is really pretty good, a big improvement. I'm going to click OK for now. And we're going to see we went from here to here in a really quick order, and we're able to get this thing to adjust. So going from this to this in 3 to 5 minutes is really pretty good. So that's the power of Adobe Camera RAW for color correction. I'm using it more and more in the work I do because it's a very powerful tool. And I hope this helps you out, and I'll catch you on the next one.